Please welcome our next amazing speaker, Fiona Bennett.
Hello, thank you very much. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, great. So first of all, I was not expecting to have to compete with a choir that amazing today, but I am going to ask you to do something. So I'm not competing, you're competing. Everybody stand up. And I'll just ask, if I'm going to say something, I'm going to ask you to repeat it back to me, all right? So, and I am not in any barber shop, anything. So, just so you know, no songbird. So, when I rise, let me rise, like a bird, joyfully, when I fall, let me fall, like a leaf, gracefully, Okay, now you know it. So, everybody can sing it all together. Ready? When I rise, let me rise, like a bird, joyfully. When I fall, let me fall, like a leaf, gracefully. One more time. When I rise, let me rise, like a bird, joyfully. When I fall, let me fall, like a leaf, gracefully. Wonderful. You can have a seat. So that was beautiful. I think everybody did an amazing job. How many of you thought you'd be singing today? No? Really? Well, I didn't really know if I would be either, because that is not something that comes naturally to me. I find it terrifying to sing in front of people. It's something I was told from a very young age that I couldn't do, or more accurately, that I really shouldn't do, for good reason. And I don't know, how many of you maybe had that same message? Yeah, I don't think it's that uncommon to be what I call voice shamed. And it does impact people's lives. It's not just singing that I was told that I couldn't do very well, but definitely singing was one of those things. So I actually love to sing. I like to sing in the car, I like to sing in the shower, and I don't know if Jacqueline is still here, but like her beautiful man, I like country music. So that's what I like to sing. But even if you get great joy from something, if you're not perfect at it, then you absolutely should not do it. Right? Well, that's what I was taught. That's the judgment that I held for many, many years. That if you cannot do something well, maybe not even just well, if you can't be the best at something, then you should not do it. Don't even try. So that's how I lived my life. That's the way I saw the world. That's the way I saw myself. That's the way I saw other people. And I know that I held that belief at least long enough to have my children. And while I was raising my children for a number of years. So that belief was transmitted to my kids as well. And that's something, along with probably many other things, that they're going to need to deal with in their lives too. And you know, I have done a lot of work from when my kids were quite little, so we've undone some of those things, but the messages stick. So it wasn't just singing that I got that message for. It was a lot of things that it impacted in my life. So let's see. I wouldn't sing in public, that's for sure. I wouldn't ski, no good. Skating, no good. Dancing lessons, forget it. Dancing in public, well, yeah, but that usually took a little bit of, you know, a couple of those, and then I was amazing. Actually, I went to any country people and know that at the Molson, used to be called Molson Amphitheater, they play a lot of country bands there. One of the things they also tend to have is a lot of people doing that at the Molson Amphitheater, and I tell you, I am the best dancer at those concerts. I'm just like, so free. I don't bring any myself, but you don't need to. It's just like, it's just rampant in the air. So I didn't do that. I did not play any sports because I am extremely uncoordinated. So there was no sport that I would volunteer for. Now I did later play sports with my family, my children, but that was it. I wouldn't try anything if I didn't think that I would be the best. And if I did try something and I discovered that I wasn't any good at it, well, that was the last time I ever tried that. So the need to be perfect had a lot of limitations. Placed a great deal of limitations. I placed a great deal of limitations on myself. And in doing that, I really kept my world quite small. I kept myself quite small. But that's not the only problem with trying to be perfect. The other issue with trying to be perfect is it also comes along with a lot of expectations. So expectations of myself, certainly, but expectations of others as well. And one of the things that we just heard about is being angry. And I know that I was angry. I was so angry that I needed, yay! But I didn't really know it. I didn't know it then. I didn't know it at all. All I knew was that I needed to control everything in my life and everyone in my life. And everyone in my life had to also make sure that my life was perfect. That things around me were exactly the way that I expected them to be. Now, I never really said that out loud, because who wants to be around anybody who says that out loud? But that is certainly what came oozing out of me when things didn't go right. And that would be at work. Certainly, the partner that I married was incapable of being perfect. Oh, you know, that was a mistake there. I should have picked the perfect one. So I had to leave that partner and then obviously go and try and find the perfect one, because the problem couldn't be me. It had to be that I wasn't with the perfect person. There is just no perfect person, right? It doesn't exist. But the pressure on the people around someone who is a perfectionist is intense. I know there's a lot of perfectionists in this room, I can guarantee it, just based on it. But is there anybody in the room who's in relationship with perfectionists? Anybody? One hand at the very back. Everybody else in here is the perfectionist. Okay, so that person, poor person in the very back is having a rough time because there's so much, you can never do anything right. No, there's nothing. And every time something goes wrong with anything in the world, whose fault is it? It is your fault. Absolutely. My problem is your fault. My bad day is your fault.
Thank you for helping me figure that out.
Yeah. It's good for you to be able to own that. I'm so glad you're here for that. So that just all of those expectations that you place on other people make it impossible to have a nice relationship in your workplace, with your children, with any friends, with your significant other. You might think you do, but the amount of stress that is being placed on those relationships is an unhealthy amount of stress. And the amount of relief that happens when that stress is removed is unbelievable. So one of the things I'd like to introduce is a phrase that I have learned to embrace, and I love it now, and I embrace it wholeheartedly. I'm going to say it, and I know it's just even as I'm anticipating saying it, I can feel myself start to really relax with it, and it is good enough. Good enough. Good enough. Things don't have to be perfect. I don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. Every single thing I do does not have to be. It can be good enough. So when I'm trying something new, I can still do my best, like I always would, but it doesn't have to be the best. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. What's the big deal? And it's okay to try something new and make a mistake. It's okay to make a mistake even if it's something that you're an expert in. For someone to find a mistake in your work is okay. You can survive that. For someone in an intimate relationship to be right and you to be wrong, it's okay. That can happen. And it's all right. All of those things are possible. The idea of good enough doesn't mean that I'm going to, you were talking about boundaries. It doesn't mean that I'm going to become a doormat and allow other people to behave in ways that are unacceptable. I'm still going to have my own set of boundaries and standards. Standards for myself, boundaries for myself, and for other people. But those expectations can be more realistic. Those limitations can be more realistic. And I'm telling you, it is such a relief. So everyone but the one person at the back who is in relationship with a perfectionist, everyone here, just repeat after me. Good enough. Oh, come on. That was not good enough. That was pathetic. Try again. Okay, ready? Good enough. It's good enough. Excellent. That was better. Well done. Well, yeah, I know it's really hard. Well done. That's very well done. So that's a very important thing to discover about yourself. Okay, because you're just going to drive yourself crazy, run yourself ragged, and you do only have a limited amount of time on this planet, in this body. I have no idea what's coming next. I have no idea what came before. But I do know that in this body, right now, in this life, my time is limited. So I don't want to spend it worrying about whether or not I look silly when I'm standing up here. I don't want to worry about whether I choose the exact right word. I just want to do it. I just want to live my life. And I want to do the things that make me happy in my life and that have meaning for me in my life. And so that takes some time and thought and being in touch with who I really am. And when I'm so caught up in trying to be perfect, there's no room for that. There's just absolutely no room. One of the other things I discovered was that I was living my life very small. So as you heard, I've gone through a lot of transitions. But what I was doing was I was working in a nuclear facility. Many of you who live in the area, there's in Pickering and Darlington, there's nuclear facilities there. So I was doing teaching, training, safety, very sciencey, mostly men, very fact-driven type of work. So that's what I was doing for many years. And it was fine. It was more than fine. It allowed me to raise my children. I was a single mom at the time, and it was a great income. And here I am working in the nuclear industry with all these guys and all this facts and all this science. And what I would try and do would be insert into my classes things like personality types, communication skills. So there's some really well sort of attuned nuclear operators you'll be happy to know. Their energy's nicely aligned, and however, that really wasn't the focus. You'll be relieved to know safety is the focus. So that was not for me, okay? But it was what I was doing. So my real belief is that you are only ever living in fear or love. So most of that time, I was living in fear. I was living small, I was hiding, I was doing stuff that I was good at, that could generate an income, but I knew it wasn't me. It wasn't what I should be doing, it wasn't my purpose, and it was definitely not me living in love. Not love for myself or love for the world. And it wasn't because I was afraid of the dark. There was a part of that. There was a part of being afraid of not being able to feed my family and things like that. But more, it was fear of the light, of stepping out. Stepping out and saying, here I am, this is me. I'm from a very conservative family. My new partner is very conservative. I raised my children to be very conservative. And here I am, I'm going to step out into the world and say, I'm spiritual, I believe in energy, I believe in spirit guides, I believe in angels. And to use the phrase that my daughter first used, is a wackadoo. All that stuff is wackadoo. So I was afraid to step into that. What are people going to think of me? Like, I was trained as a nurse. I wasn't trained as some sort of wackadoo. So people are going to see that, see me, really see me. And that's terrifying. It was terrifying. Not anymore. I don't really care. I don't care. That's who I am. This is who I am. And that's what I would want for everybody in this room, is to be able to find your truth, live in the light, live in love. And the way in which I found it was through my coach. So I coach using the inner workout. You go in to find those emotions that we have all talked about. You go up to find your higher self, which we have talked about. You connect. You connect to your truth. You connect to your higher self. And that's where you actually will feel the love. You will find your truth. You will feel your love. And then you can release the things that are your obstacles, those core things that are the obstacles. It's not all the bullshit that you think it is. There are core root problems, things that are holding you back. And those are what need to get released. And that's the process that I use, and that's the process that I coach with. And it doesn't have to take forever. So I know psychotherapy and those sorts of things, you could be visiting me for 10 years. I don't work that way. A coach should get you in, help you get healthy, and then out you go. You go live your life, and come see me when you need to check in. Okay? You get the tools. You go do it. You live your life. Read, and the only reason I'm going to try and read it real quick is because it's something that actually was like downloaded into me, and I have never experienced this before. So I know some of you may also have the same belief in spirit guides. I 100% believe that this was a message for today, so I'm just going to read it. Okay? So, no one gets miracled. You have to be willing to show up and do the work your soul asks of you. For some, that might be as straightforward as take up your mat and walk, and for some of us, probably more of us, we have to build our own ark. There's a swear word there. Either way, there's only a possibility unless we have hope and faith enough to at least try and see that there is something for us better than the pain or mess that we're in, and that there is no way that we have to stay stuck in it. Then there is room for the miracle. When we do as we are intended to do, whatever it takes, no matter how unbelievable to others, and even to ourselves just a second ago. Now we commit to it 100% and move forward. That's when miraculous things start to happen. Don't expect that miracles are pain-free. The first step can be excruciating. It might mean moving muscles physically, emotionally, or spiritually that you have been sitting on for years, decades even, and that is going to hurt a lot. It might also mean leaving things behind that you have been, or that have been helping you stay down, helping you stay small and paralyzed, and that can hurt. But it's going to lighten your load. You can start your journey with all the right support. Situations and people to encourage you to stand tall, keep your head high enough to see clearly, and who try and catch your fall, not trip you up. Every step will build muscle strength and confidence. And the more you listen to your intuition, the more you will hear. The more you are grateful for, the more open your eyes are to gifts and opportunities. And the more you are loved, the more love vibrates everywhere you go. You are the miracle. Thank you very much.